in your life's blueprint, you must have as a basic principle the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You're going to be deciding as the days and the years unfold what you will do in life, what your life's work will be. And once you discover what it will be, set out to do it and to do it well.
Hello and welcome. My name is Bashir Fadl. I'm the President and CEO of IT's Fantastic. Today I'd like to talk to you about job-seeking skills. If you go into any website such as Dice.com and Monster.com or Indeed.com or ZipRecruiter.com and search for any job in IT, whether it's development, network, security, database administration, reporting, ETL, business intelligence, we're going to see thousands, literally thousands and thousands of jobs nationwide. Some that are permanent, some that are consulting, so on and so forth, junior, senior, whatever your experience is. There's a job out there for you, actually hundreds or thousands of jobs out there for you. The question is, sometimes there's group A that put their resume out there and get a job immediately. There's some people that struggle a bit longer to land a job. Even though there's a lot of jobs and they're looking for me or looking for you, how can we make sure that we seek out that job and are able to get that job as quick as possible? That's what we're going to be talking about today, is job-seeking skills. Hope you enjoy this session. When looking for a job, a lot of people think it's simply about going out there and applying online for that position. But what we don't realize is sometimes speaking to people that do the same thing is how we land that job. In other words, yes, we do apply online, but in addition to that, what we want to do is go to things such as user groups. If I'm a SQL Server DBA, I'm a VB.NET developer, a C# developer, if I'm an Oracle DBA, if I'm a Cognos report writer, if I'm a Java developer, if I'm a network admin, if I'm a Unix, Linux administrator, all I have to do is go online and search for user groups. And more than likely in my city, there's at least 2 or 3 different groups that meet once a month or so, where all the professionals that do the same thing that I'm doing meet. And usually the first hour of those meetings of user groups are where people come up with their questions, they're socializing, eating pizza together, and asking questions about different things. And sometimes, and I've mentioned this before, I was lucky to be in some of those user groups, and someone would have a question in their company, and during the discussion I'm able to answer it for them. And before you know it, they're offering me either a project or something that's full-time position or a part-time position. So make and take advantage of it, even if you're a student in college, even if, don't wait, but definitely use the user groups. Another thing is websites such as meetup.com that allow you to actually search groups of people that are interested in that area, that are interested in that technology that meet, or you could create your own group and invite other people to come into it. So speak to people that do the same thing. Other times it could be your place of worship, it could be professional meetings and conventions. You're always going to find people that do the same thing. Speak to people that do the same thing. Search online websites. One thing that we're going to find very beneficial is to go to the regular websites. Again, things such as www.dice.com, monster.com, indeed.com, careerbuilder.com are websites that are really going to help us find jobs, especially in IT. So go in there, search. A lot of times you can create an account with those websites, and what you want to do is you load your resume, you create an account with them, and that way you can get notified of openings that come up, because a lot of times, in a couple of days after opening up, there might be a few jobs that are posted. In addition to that, it helps you if you're thinking of relocating from state to state. They have a lot of search tools that allow you to look at things such as living expenses in a different city or a different state, average salaries for a person with your expertise in a different city or a different state, or even your own state. So they're very helpful tools to be able to search online using their search websites. Also, a lot of times they have their own apps, so you can download the app and it just makes it a lot more convenient. As you're applying for a job, your resume is kind of pretty much your sword in a battlefield. So you want to make sure that it's well designed, well prepared, and well printed. What do I mean by well designed? Not only the design, so when you go into templates, you want to make sure, whether you're using Microsoft Word or any other tool editor, you want to make sure it's not just, you know, a piece of paper draft that says what you did, but it's well designed. There's beautiful templates out there that you want to make sure you have a nice template. It looks good. It presents the information in an orderly and organized fashion so that when someone looks at it, they're able to see what your skill set is. There's a summary section. There's your job expertise. There's your certifications and degrees. And even if you have some extracurricular activities that could show your leadership skills and communication skills, we could see them. But there's another point that I want to mention when I say a resume is well designed and prepared. You should have a template of what we call your default resume. But then as you're searching for jobs, you want to look at keywords and add those keywords to your template before you apply. I'm going to give you an example. In one of the companies that I was working with, we were looking for an Oracle DBA, Oracle Database Administrator. And again, the company paid very good. It's a very good position with very good pay. And after about a month, I spoke to the person at HR, and I was surprised that nobody applied for that job, or we haven't received any resumes. So I asked them and said, you know, it's been over a month, and I know the pay is very good, and there's a lot of people applying. So how come we haven't received any resumes so far? So I was surprised to find out from the HR person that over 20 people applied for that position. Over 20 people have submitted their resumes online for that position. So I asked them, is it possible that out of the 20, not a single person is qualified? And the HR person told me, yes, none of them were qualified. So I went and I said, do you mind if I review those resumes? Because it just didn't make sense to me. So I reviewed the resumes and I found out that out of the 20, at least 7 of them were very well qualified. I looked at their description and the stuff that they have and the work experience that they have. Based on the resume, they're well qualified. So they asked the HR representative, I said, you know, it looks like they're qualified. How come, we haven't seen those resumes? How come you didn't pass them through? Well, just to get a little bit technical, if you work with Oracle, you know what I'm referring to. There's something called, the way Oracle does its storage in the newer versions, is called ASM. And so the HR person said, well, you know, the job description, over 4 or 5 different places, we emphasize that we need ASM. So he looked up the Word document. He does a Control F, a quick search, and search for the word ASM. And if it doesn't have ASM, he pretty much throws away that resume or discards that resume. However, as I look at it, about 7 of them have what's called Oracle RAC, which is Real Application Cluster. And if you've worked with Oracle Real Application Cluster, you must work with what's called the Grid Infrastructure, which means that you have to work with ASM. So because they did not put the word ASM, because it's assumed because they've worked with Oracle RAC and Oracle Grid Infrastructure, they thought that was sufficient. But they did not realize that the job description, more than one place says, must have ASM experience. Preferred skills, ASM experience. So it repeated that term over and over, but they did not take the chance of using that buzzword, that keyword, and adding it to their resume. So I could not stress or emphasize enough that you need to create a template for your resume. But before you apply for a job, you want to search that job description. And if you find that there's a keyword, a buzzword that's repeated 3 or 4 times, you want to make sure, as long as you have that experience in it, that you put that job once or more than once on your resume. So you'll have a template, but then before you apply, you want to update it specifically for that job that you're applying for. And remember, sometimes the recruiter is not necessarily a technical person. They're not necessarily an IT person. They could just be someone that has studied business or HR. And so they're not necessarily very technical. They're looking and searching for certain buzzwords and keywords. And if you have that experience, make sure that you're fully qualified in your resume. Of course, when you're going into the interview, you want to make sure that it's well printed, not just your default white paper, but maybe something that's colorful, something that shows that you put some effort into it, something that stands out. Be proactive. Be proactive means always be a step ahead of everybody else. If I'm applying for a job and you're applying for the job, more than likely what most people are going to do is we're going to go online, search for a job. It's going to say apply, so we're going to click apply and submit our resumes. It goes to info@resumes@itsfantastic.com. In your case, you want to be proactive. Before you even submit that application, more than likely there's a telephone number that's available, a contact number. Pick up the phone, call them up and say, well, I'm interested in this position. More than likely they're going to take a moment and speak with you and say, Sure, would you send me your resume? And now instead of you sending it to the default email address, info at so-and-so or resumes at so-and-so, you're actually sending it to Mrs. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so at HR. So being proactive, picking up the phone already made you more special than anybody else that applied for that position. Similar, if you go into the interview, don't show up on time, be proactive, show up a little bit earlier. We all have an online presence, maybe on our Facebook pages or our personal pages or Twitter accounts. It's time for us to have a professional online presence. Make sure that you have a LinkedIn page. Make sure that you have even different profiles with a lot of other companies that are similar that allow you to show your professionalism, where people, recruiters, are always looking at your contacts, your resumes, and you'll be surprised by simply creating a LinkedIn profile, for instance, how many people are going to reach out to you or contact you before you even apply for a job. You'll be surprised that not all jobs are found by just applying the traditional way. So you want to brand yourself. If you're that person that is certified in security and you work security and you're looking for a security job, then brand yourself. Be Mrs. Security. Be Mr. Security. You can go to an organization and volunteer and do a presentation about security, how parents should secure, just a normal workshop, maybe at a normal community center, maybe at a place of worship, maybe in school next to you. Do a presentation about security for parents and for the youth and how to protect themselves online and the different devices that are available out there. Maybe you're a developer, do a little bit of workshop, maybe go down to the Boys and Girls Club, maybe to the Scouts, maybe any other organization, maybe in a college campus next to you, and do a presentation about Java development and how to build mobile stuff. Again, brand yourself so when people see you, they know that this is Mrs. So-and-so, she is Mrs. Java, or Mr. So-and-so, he's Mr. Java. Stand out because now everybody knows who you are. The faster the rebound, the faster you succeed. Barbara Corcoran, which is with Shark Tank, one of the most amazing presenters on that show, or one of my favorite presenters, she actually runs real estate, one of the largest real estate companies, I believe in New York. And in one of her speeches, she talks about the employees that she has, the sales reps that she has in her company, and how they all go through the same training. So they've all trained together, they all work together, they go to make the same sales. And she said basically the gist of what she said is that the better ones, the better salespeople, the ones that come back with the most commissions in sales, are not necessarily the ones that sell the most, but they're the ones that when they're trying to sell something the sale does not go through, they rebound very quickly. So-and-so says they're not interested in buying. They say, well, thank you, have a good day. They pull up their contacts and go to the next person. The other ones who went through exactly the same training, same qualifications, but if someone rejects them and says, well, I don't want to buy through you, I'm not buying right now, they have to go to the office and sit down for a little bit and lick their wounds. They're the ones that sell less and make less commission. It's the same thing with your job search. There's a lot of jobs out there. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. Go apply for the job, give the interview the best that you have, and if you get rejected, thanks God. If one door closes, 10 more door opens. That's another opportunity. That's one more practice under your belt. Two things. Number one, if you get rejected for whatever reason or they fill the position or whatever they tell you, number one, use that to your advantage to build a connection with them. In other words, leave with a good note that, I've enjoyed this interview and I hope if any opportunity comes in the future with your company that you don't hesitate to contact me and just build that positive rapport in that a couple of weeks if another position opens, they remember you and they contact you directly. And then the second thing, apply elsewhere. Do not wait. Don't waste your time licking your wounds because there's better opportunities there and things happen for a reason. And as you're applying for another position, remember that this first interview was nothing more than a good practice for you. I was in the neighborhood. A lot of times companies say no soliciting. You want to stay far away from them and just apply online or call them using the phone. But in a lot of the cases, some of the smaller companies right down the street from you are looking for someone with your skill. You already know that. All you have to do is make sure you're dressed appropriately and walk by casually and just knock on the door and say, hey, I was in the neighborhood. And I know that you guys do some IT work. I was just curious if you have any openings or any positions. And you'll be surprised how many times just a simple walk-in will open an opportunity and open a door, or at least a connection that a position opens up somewhere down the road. You're going to be the first one that they contact. So don't hesitate if you know a company down the street to just swing by and say, I was in the neighborhood. Of course, make sure you're dressed appropriately. If you're out of a job for a while, and even though you might have 10 or 15 years of experience, so maybe you've worked overseas and you came here, and a lot of companies don't consider that lack of experience in the United States, or if you have a college degree and you feel you qualify for a good position and you've been applying for a few weeks or a few months, don't hesitate to take an internship. Even though you might think, or it seems that it's way beneath your expertise and your experience, take the internship for a number of reasons. Number one is you're getting that additional experience, and there's a lot of advantages there. And then number two, that you're building contacts. When you're working as an intern in any company, you're meeting people that are doing similar things. You're dealing with customers. You're dealing with clients. It just opens so many doors. So instead of sitting at home and applying the whole time, maybe for a month or two, if an internship comes your way, rush and take it. We at IT is fantastic. We're very happy to have a lot of internships, some that are paid, some that are not paid. Don't hesitate to take one. Put it under your belt. And maybe a position opens up, and we're more than happy to take you aboard. And if nothing opens up, at least you have that experience, and you could meet with our clients, and if something comes up with them, you're more than welcome to take it. That's the whole idea of an internship. Relocation opens more doors. A lot of times we're applying for a job in our city, and maybe just a few miles down in the next county, the next city, the next state, there's a lot more positions that are available. So don't hesitate to apply for different locations, different cities, and sometimes the compensation is worth it. Sometimes you might get something that pays twice or maybe 3 times as much, which makes it worth it, even if you move there and stay in a weekly hotel or motel and come back in the weekends for some time until you make that choice. But you'd be surprised how opening it up to apply to different cities and different counties and maybe even different states are going to open so much opportunities for you. Right now, I'm in the city of Miami. And assuming you've been to Miami, you flew through MIA, Miami International Airport, considering that's kind of the center of Miami. You got the west of the airport, you've got the east of the airport. On one side, we have much larger corporations and companies. We have companies that have to do a lot of communication, companies that have to do with cruises and recreational, hospitality and so on. And on the other side of town, we have a lot more mid-sized corporations. So on one side of the town, we have databases such as Oracle databases, a lot of positions there. And on the other side, we have a lot of SQL Server databases. On the right side again, we have a lot of Unix and Linux. On the other side, we have a lot of Windows. On one side, we have a lot of Cognos and Informatica. On the other side, we have a lot of SSRS and SSIS. Why am I saying this? Because a lot of times we're searching for a job for a month or 2 or 3 months, and if we were to pick up something and work with it for a week or two, we'd be surprised how many more jobs we'll be qualified for and can land a job in 5 minutes. What do I mean? I've worked with people that have worked with Cognos for years. And there's a lot of positions right next door to them that need crystal reports or SSRS. But they say, no, I'm a Cognos expert. I worked with it for 10 years, and I will never work with crystal reports and SSRS. Even though they work with SSRS or crystal reports for a week, it's pretty much exactly the same. It's almost identical technology. The names might be slightly different. With Cognos, you have the framework, and crystal reports, you might have the enterprise versions of it and so on. The naming might be slightly different. The format might be slightly different. But by simply working with it for a week or two, you would have opened so many job opportunities for yourself. I know a lot of people that are Oracle database administrators that will never, ever touch a SQL Server database. And I've known SQL Server DBAs for years who've done it for decades, maybe 10, 15 years, but would never, ever, ever touch an Oracle database, even though if you were to work with it for a week or two and just kind of see the fine differences in how Oracle handles its memory, the SJA, PGA versus on SQL Server, and the different kind of backups and just certain similarities, you'll be surprised how easy it is for you to transform yourself. Development, I've known people that do a lot of Java but would never do C#, people that do VB.NET that will never touch Java. Study something that is similar, and you'll be surprised how many more job opportunities you'd have. The perfect job. There's nothing called the perfect job, and that's why I intentionally misspelled the word perfect. Now, there's two case scenarios. Case scenario number one is you have a wonderful job. Assume you work with us at IT is fantastic. You're doing really good. But then you have what's called a perfect job. Your ideal job is to work at Google or to work at SpaceX or to work at Amazon or Microsoft. That's your ideal job. So you already have a job. You're already feeding your kids and your family, and you're doing good with your bills. So you could take the pleasure of applying for a job and waiting for a month or 2 or 3 months. And you have that luxury. And if you don't get the job, it's okay because you still do have a job. But if you're a college student that just graduated, if you're looking for a job, you're looking to improve, and you're looking for a job now, do not make the mistake of thinking that there is a perfect job out there and put all your eggs in one basket. There's been a lot of cases where someone applies for a job because it's convenient. It's next door from me. It's right around the corner. That's the place that I want to work. And they wait a week or 2 or 3 or a month or 2 or 3, and then finally they say, well, sorry, we've already filled that position. We're not interested. And you've just wasted 3 months because of the fallacy called the perfect job. No, apply for more than one job. Apply for as many jobs as are reasonable for you. When you get the good offer, that's the job that you accept. But to think that there's a perfect job or a perfect company to work for, and again, you're struggling right now, and you really need the money, you really need to build on your career, build on your resume. There's nothing such as perfect job. Apply for everything else. In IT, the only exception, just to be clear, is, again, if you sign a contract, you want to stand by your contract. What I mean by that is there's some situations where a consulting company might tell you, well, we're going to help you apply for this position, but for the next 30 days, you cannot apply to that position except through us. So you want to make sure that you keep that part of the contract. Other than that, apply, apply, apply. A lot of people apply for a job and they just wait. A lot of people get rejected from a job and they just wait and do nothing about it. Use that to your advantage. And, oh well, thank you. Be courteous. Send out an email. Pick up the phone and say, well, thank you for considering me for that position. It was a pleasure speaking to you on the phone. Even if you get rejected, I think I've mentioned this before, and I really love and appreciate that I've learned this from Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank, if you ever watched that TV show, in which originally she was selected, she applied for the position to be on the show, hosting the show, and she was rejected. And she took the opportunity when they sent a letter rejecting her to actually reply and thank them for the opportunity and come up with an idea that if you ever need a substitute judge, I'll be more than happy to do that. And when she responded, that became the reason that they considered her. So you'll be surprised how a little courtesy, how a little card that says thank you for allowing me, or appreciate the chance for the interview, or thanks for the call, or thanks for your correspondence, and maybe another word that goes along with it, basically indicating that I'm still interested, or I'm very interested, or I look forward to working with you. That goes a very long ways. I'd like to conclude with my favorite one, which is, oops, the train might pass. You'd be surprised how many times people that are well qualified for a position, they know that there's a position that's available or positions that are available, and say, what, I'm not going to apply right now. I need to travel. I need to go on this trip. I need to finish this. I need to take one more class that does this. The job doesn't wait for you. The train doesn't stop specifically for you. There's an opportunity. Take it. Start applying right now. It's never too early to start applying. If you're qualified for a job, go ahead and apply for it. Actually, be surprised how many times a position says need 7 years of experience. And you might only have 2 or 3 years of experience, but you'd be surprised if you apply that they would actually pick up the phone, call you in for an interview, and you might actually get that job. It's never too early to apply. Maybe I just came from a different country. I don't speak English very fluently. I'm very technical. I have the technical skill, but I don't speak English very fluently. It's never too early to apply. Maybe a senior in college, and yes, I have the technical skill, but I still have one more semester to finish or a couple more months to finish the semester. It's never too early to apply. Maybe in a couple of weeks, my kids have a 2-week vacation. We need to travel in that, and after I come back, I'll start applying. No, it's never too early to apply. I wish you all the best of luck with your careers, with your applications. Hopefully, those ideas will help you widen the range of the positions that are available to you. And we wish you the best of luck.
In your life's blueprint, you must have as a basic principle the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You're going to be deciding as the days and the years unfold what you will do in life, what your life's work will be. And once you discover what it will be, set out to do it and to do it well.